All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is the beginning of season 2
Woohoo!
of What's in Your Cup. I'm your host again, John,
And I'm your co-host, Mark.
and it's great to have everybody back again. So, how's your week been?
Oh,
so
my
far?
week's been good. It's been good. I'm glad to see that the viewership is up.
It went back up starting this month.
That's what we like to see. The only way is up now. And, keeping with our promise from last week, we want to just, I guess, open up with a segment. So, as you guys may know, before we get into that, how was your week?
My week has been fine. I mean, it's people are still coming out of vacations, so I've been on my computer a lot, doing a lot of emails back and forth for work and stuff like that. But I've been keeping busy. We've had a little bit of flooding because we had a storm come up.
Yeah, in the broader Northeast, there was a big storm.
It doesn't snow in New York City anymore, so it's mostly just thunderstorms.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a little bit of flooding, took care of that. That's what usually happens, but besides that, everything else has been pretty good. And I know that for this segment, we wanted to start off with what was it, like a cult conspiracy segment, or just
It was
like a deep dive segment,
yeah.
right?
So deep dives segments. So
and we have a great starting one.
And we have a great starting one. I think this is like the most politically charged one, because everybody's got an opinion on this, and we ended it off last episode with regarding the whole Jeffrey Epstein,
the documents
case.
being released.
All the judges are releasing names and all of that. So
no more John or Jane Does.
No more John or Jane Doe. And
your name is no longer redacted.
It's gonna be kind of crazy because the first wave of documents were flight log records, and Bill Clinton's name is the most popular one on that.
Like the number of times,
and I think it was in the 40s were the flight logs,
man.
Right? When Bill Clinton himself said he only flew with Jeffrey Epstein 3 times, right? And this is all as a former president of the United States.
Is that because of his, did he say 3 times because of his 3-strike rule? You remember that?
What was it?
What didn't he start that? The 3-strike rule?
What is the 3-strike rule?
You serve definitive. I think it was you serve definitive jail time if you commit a crime 3 times in a row. Like 3rd strike, you're out. Now you're going to jail. I think that's how it was.
Oh, I don't know, but I know that he said he's doing work with the Clinton Foundation. So he went to Africa with Epstein. He went to Asia with Epstein, and then I think he went on one other flight with Epstein.
Does he mean being on the same plane as him?
Yes.
Or
yeah, on his Epstein's private jet.
But with him in the same cabin, talking with him.
Yeah.
But that was actually 40 times in a row.
Well, alleged.
Allegedly.
40 times in a row. Well, not in a row, but 40 times throughout.
Over the years.
So there's a lot of names that were dropped. The big ones were Clinton obviously was the largest one.
Mm-hmm.
Trump name was on there a couple of times. Regarding those were the largest names on the list.
Mm-hmm.
The judge who released these unredacted flight log records really, really, really emphasized that it doesn't necessarily, air quotes, mean any wrongdoing, right? This isn't a charge brought against these. They serve no legal purpose to be redacted anymore. Right?
It just means that this is just extra information that we're allowed to show you without definitively having to criminalize anybody.
Yeah. Because it's basically the judges, and I forgot the judge's name, but the judge who released these files basically argued there's no real legal necessity to have these files redacted. There's nobody is being charged with a crime. The only people's names who were redacted were obviously the victims because they were children. Those were the names that were redacted.
Yeah.
Another list that came out were clients or not confidants, but just people in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit that again doesn't necessarily mean any wrongdoing. And one of the crazy ones was Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
She had to come out of silence. Was I do not know Jeffrey Epstein and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But her name was on this list along with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are wanting to see more powerful names. I know Clinton and Trump are the two big ones, but then another really big one is Prince Andrew. Do you know who Prince Andrew is?
Yeah, I know who Prince Andrew is.
So for those who may not know, he's like the brother of now King Charles. And Prince Andrew was caught in 10K, 10K video, not actual video, but basically there's a photograph of him with one of Jeffrey Epstein's child victims, I should rather say. And when Prince Andrew's like, oh, I don't know her, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, is this you? And he was like banned from the British royal family. And I think King Charles like brought him back into the fold when, Queen Elizabeth, rest in peace. Queen Elizabeth died. And, King Charles was like, yeah, you can come back into the fold.
Okay.
So it's really crazy. A lot of people believe that the list, when we say the list, we're talking about the list of people who went to Jeffrey Epstein for nefarious reasons.
Yeah, like the billionaire, trillionaire guys that can literally have you killed.
Yes.
Those names are never going to be released.
We are not suicidal by any means.
Yeah. Like the guy, the one agent that's going to try to do it is going to get like wiped out.
What really brought on this whole... Well, first of all, Jeffrey Epstein... What really like brought all this on, I think, in the most recent times was the Netflix documentary. We spoke the
Filthy Rich documentary.
The Filthy Rich documentary. That's like really scary. And
I still haven't seen it yet.
But
I will
no spoiler.
get into it, but
it's still interesting regardless of spoilers. But it's like what is so crazy to me is this man recorded everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had cameras everywhere in his homes throughout the world, right? When I say everywhere, I legit mean everywhere. Like, in walls, in toilets, in showers, in hallways.
Like the paintings and
in paintings. Yeah. Like, this was, Big Brother 3.0.
Yeah.
And the FBI seized, like, the FBI has...
They have all those tapes.
All the tapes. Like, so... What I just don't understand, this is what everybody's asking on Twitter, which I think is a legit question. Not release the tapes, but like you know who's guilty.
Yeah, like why aren't you arresting the people who you know is guilty?
Like somebody, unless they just burned the tapes, and I'm not insinuating that, I'm just saying, unless they burned the tapes, somebody had to sit down and watch, and I do not envy that person.
Yeah.
And watch thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours of video of this man's crimes. And what, I think this is a fair question. Like, what do you think?
I think that it's not really as simple as that, though. Like, putting out that information isn't as simple. Because obviously, some names were put out already, that people that went there and... whatever, there's photographs of like celebrities, scientists, politicians on the island, whatever they were doing, et cetera, but even the organizations like the FBI and the CIA know the implications of releasing such information to the public. And depending on who gets called out for it, who doesn't, it has a lot of... I don't want to jump straight to like an economic reason for why it could be. Let's say like if every billionaire was on that island and got caught doing it, and then
the system collapses,
and then like stocks would plummet 100% in the meantime, based on by pure association, like not wanting to be associated.
401ks are destroyed.
With all the shit,
destroyed.
There's a lot more implications to this actually happening, and like either socially or economically speaking, it could be worse to release the information. And that's why I'm trying to think of a reason why they wouldn't. Because the right thing,
I see what you're talking about.
Like someone like an agent who's like tempted to be a hero and release all this stuff and like bring everybody down and this like idea of this like Illuminati type structure that they can do whatever they want type thing. That person is also like under like some heavy surveillance as well, I guess. So like to release all that information could have a lot more implications.
Here's the thing.
I don't know what they could be little, they could be big, but we don't know.
There was Piers Morgan had and for those who may not know Piers Morgan, British journalist, had an interview with Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who allegedly, this is all allegedly, said back in 2016, this is Jeffrey Epstein speaking, right before he was caught and, air quotes, committed suicide, that if he went out to the public knowing what he knows about the Clintons and the Trumps, they would have to call a new election. That's what Epstein said. Like, they would have to call a new election. Like, people would be like, nope. Like,
damn.
You know, so I definitely see where you're coming from. That if they just released a list and the cards fall where their cards fall, like, who knows? Like, you know, and it's kind of crazy because it's, like you said, you have very real world consequences to this. Like, people, let's say there's CEOs of banks on it.
Yeah.
Their banks, stocks are tumbling, banks go insolvent.
Yeah.
People's retirements are done.
We saw what happened with Robinhood and how quickly we can crash a system.
Or Silicon Valley Bank. So imagine, like,
imagine everyone on that list gets caught, everything plummets at once, get put into a recession, or just like social outrage.
But there's definitely a segment of society that, you know, I don't want to call them jokers, but like just want to see the world burn. I guess like they want the
agents of chaos.
Like, I would rather, like, maybe this is just cope. Maybe this is me being like, you know, drinking the mainstream media juice. But it's just like, I want to be wrong. Like, I want to be like, okay, because again, this man was also, not to defend him at all, but this man was a financier, right? He had, air quotes, a day job where he was investment banking, socialite, where people went to him for investment advice and to manage their portfolios. So do I think that every single person who went to go see him was like, oh, this is all for financial stuff? No. But the overwhelming majority, because wealthy people are in a very small circle. I'm trying to look at this from like what some people who are truly innocent may look at it as. This is a man who had very powerful connections, had very powerful friends with CEOs of banks, of government, or, you know, presidents, former presidents, you know, heads of state who managed hundreds of millions of dollars in, you know, assets and all of that. Boom, he can make me rich. So it's just kind of like, I want to be wrong, but the silence that is coming out of the FBI is just kind of concerning, you know, because there's definitely somewhere somebody knows who did what.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
somebody in there, somebody at the top knows everything.
Yeah.
And they're deciding not to release that information.
And because
or something is keeping them from doing that.
You know what's crazy? Somebody said, when the client list comes out, we should compare it to QAnon. Because apparently QAnon, what started all of this was, do you know the conspiracy theory Pizzagate?
I hear that term being tossed around everywhere. Can you like explain that for me?
We're going down like a rabbit hole, so welcome to Wonderland.
Or for anyone that doesn't know what Pizzagate is, Mark will talk about it now.
Yeah, so Pizzagate was a conspiracy theory, correct me if I'm wrong, that was started by Q. So Q is this anonymous individual who claims to be part of like the deep state, right? Who went on, I forgot whether it was Reddit or 4chan, but basically released all these documents, or not documents, but all this information, right, about politicians and what they do behind closed doors. So Pizzagate started as basically there is a pizza shop in DC that ran a child sex trafficking ring. And that if you were a politician, you would call up this pizza shop, you know, say, hey, I'm blank, 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 representative of blank, blank, blank. I want a ham pizza. And ham is for little girls. Sausage is for little boys.
Oh.
And if you want a sausage and ham pizza, you know, you want, you know, boys and girls. So that's where this started from. Then
But this is a conspiracy about this.
this is a conspiracy. So this is just a random person who posted anonymously who calls themselves Q. That's where the whole idea of QAnon comes from, right?
Okay.
And so, because Q, anonymous, QAnon. And that QAnon...
But so wait. So is QAnon and anonymous like the hacker?
No. They're not the same thing.
Okay.
So QAnon is the conspiracy theory that was founded by the individual Q. Mm-hmm. We don't know who Q is. Q is whoever. Q, whoever he or she may be, went on to, I think it was Reddit or 4chan. Correct me if I'm wrong again. And
I'm not familiar with this stuff at all, so I'm relying on you.
And basically talked about Pizzagate. Jeffrey Epstein comes around. Q released a client list that these are the people who went to Jeffrey Epstein. And when we talk about a client list, we're not talking about flight records. We're talking about the list, air quotes, right?
Okay.
The list of people who sought child sex trafficking from Jeffrey Epstein. And there were like a lot of people. Like I think like Beyonce was on it. And like it was like, but he didn't call them Beyonce. That's because people are like, oh, this gives it an air quotes, an air of legitimacy because he used government names. So, and
so no stage names. It was
no stage names. So it was like Clinton. It was like, but here's the thing though, that some people say QAnon is delegitimized because he didn't include known Jeffrey Epstein, gonna say confidants like Trump, because they also, New York State real estate scene, everybody knows everyone.
Okay. So
what people on Twitter now want to do is the FBI to release the names and compare it to Q's list. And that if it matches, that basically validates QAnon. So people are kind of seeing this who are believers of QAnon. And QAnon has morphed into like a huge, thing that transcends, Pizzagate.
Yeah, it gets talked about all the time.
Yeah.
I just don't follow it. So
I would say save your brain cells.
So wait. So where did he get this list?
Don't know. It would be like as if I just post something.
So this person is just saying like, oh, this is a list of people confirmed to be clients of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Okay, but there's no like
documents.
There's no like source or
no
like where he nabbed this information from. He or she just put out this list.
It's just trust me vibes. That's literally what it is.
Okay, I can see why.
Then,
but wait, is QAnon a hacker or just an internet?
So QAnon, or Q, right? Because Q is the founding member of QAnon. So can look at Q as like, I guess, the orb of knowledge for QAnon. So Q kind of gives QAnon a, something, and QAnon goes, oh, yes, you're right. So Q works for the government. Now, we don't know whether it's the NSA or if it's the FBI or CIA, but some intelligence network. Q anonymously posts, but Q has been inactive for like years. And
probably on the run.
Probably on the run or whatever. And
he's like, I shall return when I am needed.
Yeah, and people like just took that as, oh, what he said is valid. Mm-hmm. So QAnon is kind of now morphed into this broader anti-government conspiracy that, because QAnon is now kind of used as an umbrella term for a lot of different segments. So, you have the people who, don't agree with, let's say, who think the World Economic Forum, for example, is out to create a unitary global government that will bring an age of authoritarianism and tyrannical, rule over all of humanity. That they'll wipe out religion, they'll wipe out anything that could challenge this global order. That's what QAnon believes. QAnon also believes that there's like the deep state, that there are forces that are beyond politics. And politics is just kind of like this game that distract us from the broader forces. So a lot of people in QAnon use the term like uniparty. So you have like the Democrats and Republicans in the United States. We're talking about like Democrats and Republicans. Then you have the uniparty for that. The uniparty kind of controls everything. So the uniparty are like the mega donors, or like, the, like, for example, Charles Schwab, or Carl Schwab, the guy who runs the World Economic Forum.
Okay.
George Soros, stuff like that. So a lot of people who prescribe to this idea just kind of join into the crowd of QAnon. But what started QAnon, what started all of this, was Pizzagate and this whole Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay.
So going back with Epstein, people on Twitter want them to release the list, compare it to Q's list. And this is kind of like,
see if there's any like correspondence.
That if it matches, let's say, to a T, right? The FBI releases it and it matches it to a T. Everyone who believes in QAnon will feel validated. So some of their conspiracies, I'm pretty sure they're probably thinking this is like what you said. You're like, oh, we're worried about, like the economic fallout. Some people in QAnon are probably thinking, oh, they're not going to release it because it matches it to a T. And then, the elites of the world will be exposed.
Right.
So it's definitely kind of crazy.
I can see where, once you started getting into, like, the deep state stuff and those things, I can see where the legitimacy of this claim kind of... I mean, once you get into the real conspiracy theory aspect of it, you started losing me a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
No, you want to talk about...
Like when you brought up, like, Pizzagate and that idea and then the list, I was like, okay, I'm following along. But then you went further and further into it. I'm like...
Yeah.
Okay, you lost me for like a little bit. I'm thinking you're going a little bit there.
Like there is...
Because again, this is a conspiracy theory group, right? So
or I would say a conspiracy theory ecosystem.
Okay.
Like you got flat earthers, you got QAnon, you got...
okay, come on.
Like you want to know what's something even crazy? Have you heard of Project Blue Sky? Not to derail too much. You're going to like this. Or Blue Beam.
I know Blue Sky meth.
But have you heard of Project Blue Sky or Blue Beam, something like that?
Breaking Bad was such a good show. But no, I've never heard of...
you're going to like this.
What's it called? Blue Beam or Blue Sky?
One of the two.
Okay.
So basically what happens. And have you heard what happened in Miami where like there's all these huge Miami PD police presence at some mall? And that, reports were seeing of these huge shadows and like resembling fallen angels,
no.
Well, the police department at the time, this is all Twitter now, so take it with a huge amount of salt. Not even a grain.
Was there an undisclosed ad under the post you read about this?
Of course. But anyways, so what happened was that people were saying, oh, the reckoning is coming, right? That, if you're a Christian, God is coming down and, the rapture and everything's going to happen. What some people are saying is, no, you all are idiots. Project Blue Beam is coming. So what is Project Blue Beam? Do you know Operation Paperclip?
Remind me again. That
Operation Paperclip. This is, you're ready for your brain to melt. So Operation...
No, I've heard of something called Paperclip. I just don't remember.
Operation Paperclip was Second World War. Germany loses. There's a race to get Nazi scientists out because
they brought them to America.
Gave them fake names, all this.
To use their skills to develop the
space
programs.
Space program. Like Victor von Braun headed NASA.
Yeah.
And they actually have an award after him at NASA, a legit Nazi. But regardless, so where does Operation Paperclip come into Operation Blue Beam? Project Blue Beam. Victor von Braun although he was a terrible person, was a genius, right? Creates the Apollo missions. So basically, he has a wife, right? On his dying bed, he allegedly tells his wife that the U.S. government, along with the world government, and by the world government, the Western governments of the world, are developing technology of very kind of like, what's the word? What do you call it? It starts with an H, like no, not hieroglyphics. Dang it, like basically grand illusions, right? There's a word for it, but it's like grand illusions of, basically they're going to do projections into the sky and use very in-depth technologies to make it look like aliens are coming, or to make it look like...
Do you mean a hologram?
Yes, holograms. So basically, Project Bluebeam is going to look at these grand holograms, and these holograms are going to look so realistic that you think that it's real. So,
okay.
For example, they're going to have projected lasers around America, and to make it look like an alien invasion is coming. People are going to freak out. They're going to freak out. They're going to, run to the government. They're going to fake a war, more or less. And the government is going to win. And people are going to be so scared. The government is going to use this opportunity to drop bombs on cities, wipe out people, wipe out religion. Because if there's aliens, then there's no God, right? And
which will spark like outrage and riots and shit like that. Yeah.
And the government comes and solves all the orders, and you now have this tyrannical government that the U.S. government wants to create.
And this is coming from
Victor von Braun on his deathbed. That they are going to fake, aliens. Some people saying fake the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, just fake all of this. Using holograms in the sky.
I have two things I want to add to this. So, like, let's say, are all these like UFO sightings, like quote unquote UFO sightings, just holograms in the sky?
That's what people who prescribe to this belief are. They're like, you all are so effing dumb. These are holograms.
Or does this have any connection to the Star Wars program during the Ronald Reagan presidency?
Do you
remember that?
Yeah, the Star Wars program to use
lasers in space to target enemy
bases and positions and all of that.
Instead of shooting a nuke, we can shoot a laser.
Yeah, like I don't know about that, but people
pull some like Austin Powers type shit.
Yeah, people
like arm the laser.
Yeah, and it's so like. Some of these people, and then people are arguing in the comments on Twitter because people are like, are you dumb? Like, this is the second coming of Christ. And then they're like, are you dumb? This is Project Bluebeam. And then you have people who are like, are y'all dumb? This is like, just a regular person. And all of these different factions are like arguing with each other.
Okay.
But where this comes into, really gets into real world is like people who prescribe to this are like 9/11 didn't happen.
Oh. It's like you're so convincing, and then bam, you just right back down to
like
zero.
9/11 didn't happen. Like 9/11
was an inside job.
Was an inside job, but not an inside job where planes blew up, but they were hologram planes, and they had explosives around the freaking building that blew that up. Like, you can't make this up. You can't make this up.
Why is it? And then these people are like, why isn't anybody listening to me? Because then you say something really stupid that makes us 100% drop you, and we don't pay attention anymore.
Yeah, but it's like
saying like do you know the conspiracy theory that there's like every famous person is actually like a reptilian wearing human skin? Like we've been infiltrated by an alien society that's actually reptilian, like 6 foot tall reptiles. Do you know about this?
What?
There's also a movie that Charlie Sheen was in that is about this whole thing. So the joke being that Charlie Sheen
is a reptile
in disguise.
But like
that's like one of the craziest conspiracies. It's obviously not true, but it's like it's so funny to think that like all the power, all the greed, and it's just like a 6 foot tall Komodo dragon.
Like, the only conspiracy theory that I could see has a resemblance of truth to it is, have you heard of, again, this is a more of like a widespread QAnon language of "you will own nothing and be happy." Have you heard of it? Have you heard of that statement? You will own nothing and be happy.
I have not heard of this.
So that statement comes from the World Economic Forum when after the coronavirus they had kind of like this, kind of build back better or the Great Reset that they coined it the Great Reset.
I remember build back better.
Well, that was like Biden's agenda, but the World Economic Forum had that, but they called it the Great Reset. And so what happened was that the idea of you will own nothing and be happy, and what that is, and this is, I think, even scarier than any actual conspiracy, bullshit conspiracy theory, is large banks, large corporations will change what it means to have the American dream. So, like, for example, you look up the largest homeowners in America. They will be Wall Street hedge funds buying homes and renting them out. Car prices. So cars, what companies will say is reduce carbon emissions or, kind of like shift their goals, their production goals, are no longer making starting cars. Like the average car price now is $40,000, $50,000. They don't make, there's only one model of car in production in the US right now that is under $20,000, and it is the Mitsubishi Mirage. Only car.
Okay.
So all the cars are become bigger and more expensive. And so what the idea is that, well, you can't own a house because private homes are becoming way too expensive, so you're going to rent a house. So we're going to pay you more money, but you're going to rent a house. You can't afford to buy a car outright, so you're going to take a loan out from a bank to buy a car. If you want all these new clothes, have you seen like Klarna or what is it, Klarna? Or like when you go clothes shopping online, you see like 4 easy payments of, blank.
Okay, yeah.
Where society will just run on credit, which it already kind of does, but like on overload, where we'll run on credit and you will own nothing. You will own no assets. So you will rent out your car. You'll rent out your place to live. You'll rent out the clothes on your back, that you will own nothing and be happy. And that you're...
You can see my face, yeah, man. I'm really thinking about it now.
And that there's this, where my dad is from, Louisville, Kentucky, right? The largest, all of the housing that's being built in Louisville is by Wall Street banks. Like this is real. Like you can go on it and look it up. Like it's Wall Street or Wall Street backed banks that are buying a property in Louisville, building up these beautiful apartments, beautiful, but you can't own one. Or all the new housing development, like you go to Florida, a lot of these new developments that are being built up, backed by Wall Street. Like they're buying property, they're buying land and renting it out to people.
Interesting.
So I'm not saying I believe it. I know it sounds like I do. I'm not saying I believe it, but I definitely can see where people who believe in this conspiracy theory are coming from, where like, all right, you want to buy your own house, it's $900,000, or you can just take it and go and rent a house and rent it forever. You take your car payment, you want to buy in 10, 15 years, let's say the average price of a car is $60K. Well, you can't afford that. Take a loan out at 9% and pay off your car. Oh, you want the new car? Here, have the new car. We'll redo the phone. Your phones. I'm sorry. People don't own their phones. They pay off their phones.
Yeah.
And then they go and get a new one when your phone perfectly works fine.
I can see where the
idea
the believability in this one
that you will own nothing and be happy.
Just remind me, where did this come from? Like, where did this start?
It really started, I would just say, on Twitter. I would probably say on like more right-wing pages, and it just morphed into QAnon, like the World Economic Forum, Flat Earth. Like it's just, but that conspiracy theory though, I can definitely see why people believe it.
That one has like an air, like
an air of
believability, like because it could if manipulated properly, could be a realistic scenario in the future.
And that is a lot more scarier, I think, than freaking like lasers.
Yeah, they're not laser holograms in the sky and shit.
They're like gonna, showcase an alien invasion.
That's actually when I really gave it a thought, I was like, that's actually kind of terrifying if you think about it.
What, the lasers?
No, not the lasers. You will be happy with nothing.
Yeah. Like, think about
That's
it.
crazy.
Like, you in, let's say, 10 years' time, the norm is to rent a house. And let's say this is true. And when I say they, I'm talking about Wall Street, mega banks, all around the world. It becomes the norm to rent a house. You don't own the house, you just rent it. But why care? Because you're going to be there for the rest of your life. It becomes the norm to rent a car, which is starting to become the norm with leasing. But you just rent a car. You rent your cell phone. You rent clothes on your back if you want to dress nicer. And that at any moment, all that can be taken away. So that, let's say, this is where, do you remember, we're going to a little bit sidetrack. You remember the whole trucker protest in Canada? Like, it was like last year when truckers like stopped the capital of Canada. Like, they were like there for like 3 weeks.
Yes, I do remember this one, yeah.
What was a very controversial move was that Justin Trudeau used what is known as the Emergencies Act, which gives the Prime Minister unprecedented power. Basically, snap of his fingers, he can make a protest illegal. It's usually meant for like national distress. Like, let's say like, I don't know, a civil war happens, something like that, right? So he used it to disperse these protesters, right? These truckers, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, that's what he did. What they did was that they froze their bank accounts. So the government of Canada went to JP Morgan Chase, went to all these banks and said, here, they used cell phone data to track who was at these protests in Ottawa, gave them to these banks and says, here's the phone number, here's the map, find out who this person is, and freeze their bank accounts. And all your money is ones and zeros, really.
Yeah.
So imagine if we're in this world, and let's say, you have an unpopular opinion, let's say, whether it's right wing, left wing, regardless, and boom, the government can say, we're shutting your bank account. And you rent a house, you rent your car, you rent your phone, all this stuff that you don't own anything of value, so that your social standing can be ripped away. If you believe in this conspiracy, they ripped away almost immediately.
That's crazy. That's really crazy to me.
So that it's power through kind of like...
and I'm assuming it worked. It got them to stop.
Well, yeah, because, they made the protest illegal. Again, there are people who supported this, or people who didn't. I'm not getting into that. But the action of they made the protest illegal, which gave the government the ability to go into... Because these people were like camped in the city, and they were blocking the city off, right? And they came in, and when I say they, like the government of Canada, like the police and all that, deemed the protest illegal, arrested people, right? Took trucks, froze bank accounts, seized assets, and they were blocking a lot of transnational donations. So like donations from the United States who were like, I don't like Trudeau, so I'm going to donate to the truckers. None of the money was getting in because GoFundMe blocked those funds. So people were like, whoa, what is this? And then you tie in, it's like this type of conspiracy theory of you will own nothing and be happy is a very dark one that, could very easily make you paranoid. I wouldn't say I 100% agree with it. Reasoning why I'm not 100% on board, and this is just me personally, is too much risk because, for argument's sakes, if we are to become, let's say, a society of renters, right, that somehow we become an immediate dystopian society. It's like, I would say New York City is a society of renters and nobody is like, you know, I wouldn't say we live in a dystopian city.
Yeah.
Or,
We're
you
just
know,
all broke.
and that, yeah, we're all just broke. You know,
Everything has a payment plan.
and people, and yeah, and you know what? And it's like already you can argue, like I said before, that we already live on credit. Like, how many people who are like, oh, you know, I don't trust the government, blah, blah, have a credit card. Or, you know, how many people use credit for their day-to-day lives and are drowning in credit card debt. But you can also, I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's like, you can also just go and move to cheaper communities and buy, you know, a house there. Like, yeah, you know, you're not going to have the same opportunities in the big cities, but
yeah, but people in this city are willing to do anything to live a good, lavish style.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People who live in Manhattan waste all their savings
on rent.
Just to live in a shitty, like, shoebox apartment with nothing.
But I live in Greenwich Village, bro.
Congratulations, you're also broke.
Like, open up your fridge.
You're living on nothing.
Like, so that's why I would say I'm a little apprehensive on that, because it's also, and also people forget that if that were to really become the case, right, that like Wall Street and all these things, people are forgetting that the government, and I'm not saying I condone this, but can just nationalize an industry. You know, when power is becoming too concentrated in a select few, there's this thing called communism that comes. Yeah. That's the opposite extreme. But, you know, so that's why I'm a little apprehensive. But if there was a conspiracy theory that I would semi-believe, it would be that one.
That is crazy. Now, I'm going to stop on this segment for a second, because we are a ways away into our episodes. So we have 2 lovely drinks in front of us.
Yes.
They look very good. They're ice cold. And so I didn't make the drinks this time. Mark made them.
I know. I did. You know.
They look very nice. They literally, it looks like a glass of Coke with 3 or 4 ice cubes in it.
Yeah.
But it's in a bourbon glass, so that makes it cooler.
Mm-hmm. It is. I always enjoy a good bourbon glass.
All right, I'm going to give it a taste.
Alrighty. Oh, that's good.
It is very good, but you could have made it stronger, though. I got to be honest with you.
What? I didn't make it strong?
No.
I thought I kind of had a heavy hand, to be honest.
No.
What? I can go and make it strong.
I've told you. You want to go make it strong?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
You want to go? Yeah, go ahead. I'll go right now.
I'll be right back.
All right. For those listening, Mark just went upstairs. He's getting something to fix it. You see, for everyone listening, people need to understand, I like my drinks strong, which apparently he doesn't understand. He's bad.
This is going to give it away, but I took this personally.
Okay. He's filling up my glass. What the fuck is that? I'm looking at the bottle. It's a frozen bottle. What is that?
Keep it right here.
Okay. Thanks for refilling my drink, by the way. I appreciate that.
I took that personally.
But you know I take my drinks.
I can't wait to have a special episode at our bar that we frequent. So
we have to rent them out, and we're definitely giving them a shout out. But
shout out to Patreon. You guys can help us make it happen. Mas? Oh my gosh.
Put more in there.
You know, then I have to put more in mine because I can't be embarrassed like this. Save me.
This is I look terrible right now. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You just refilled it with whatever that bottle is.
Yeah, yours is like definitely, I would say, too strong now.
Okay, now it's good.
Oh, I'm afraid to taste mine now.
Now it's good.
Oh yeah. For those who may not know, like,
oh god, I know what it tastes like.
John's drink was like a nice cola color. Now it's like.
Now it looks like iced tea.
Now it looks like iced tea. Just.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh, man. I want to see what's the percentage. Continue. I'm just want to see.
So there's a very strong vanilla taste to it.
Yeah.
It tasted like vanilla Coke. So I'm assuming there's Coke in this.
Yes.
And hold on. Oh, okay, that's rum.
And you're
Is it
missing
a-
one ingredient.
So it's vanilla rum,
Yeah.
Coke,
Yeah. And
and
there's
there's
one more
another
ingredient.
ingredient here.
One more ingredient. It's a dash. You probably don't even taste it anymore.
A dash
because
of
you
it.
ruined the
It
drink.
just tastes like- But I bring this up a lot, not just to you,
This man
to a
is a
lot of our friends, to bartenders even at bars.
Not strong enough.
That's not strong enough.
Bro, you're gonna have me drunk in the car ride home. Let's see how good your palate is. Because, yeah, I don't think you're gonna get this one. Do you want to try mine? Mine may have it.
Is there a syrup in this?
No. Well, like you have the Pepsi, but no, like there's no other syrup. I try to give it a very faint one. See if you're patient.
Very faint.
Yeah, wait. Let me see if I can try to
Well,
get
now
it.
I just taste mostly rum.
Yeah, you can't taste it anymore. It was lime juice.
It was lime juice?
It was lime juice.
I didn't even taste the lime juice in the beginning, honestly.
No, I think it was just you were so like immediately your bias came in and you were like not strong enough.
It tasted like Coke.
Anyway,
It's a great rum and Coke.
Thank
I
you.
do appreciate it. I see the bottle
this is
now.
a good. You know what? Shout out to Cruzan Vanilla Rum. This is really good for rum and cokes. Not gonna lie, and it's not bad too. What is it?
What percentage is that?
21% alcohol.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. So that's a nice like. My
That's
girlfriend
probably why
would really
I
like this rum.
That's probably why I kept saying pour more, because I'm not feeling it.
Wow, this is actually pretty nice.
I need to feel this makes me sound so bad.
Well, you know what? Now that we have this gives a great segue into why do you hate the Oscars?
Why do I hate I don't hate the Oscars.
Do you love the Oscars?
I don't love it, and I don't hate it either.
You're saying it's a toxic relationship?
Kind of. Only because it's become... Okay. The Oscars, right? It's become so politicized over the years.
But hasn't it always been political?
It's been somewhat political, but politics was brought up for the better of certain things. Whereas now it's more like political corruption on the side of the Academy.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about like the politics of cinema. I was talking more like politics of like government.
Like when they were making like certain strides would be made, or like first ethnic groups getting an Oscar award or an Oscar nomination or something like that. Like those were big strides. One of like the biggest ones is when I think it was Marlon Brando's Oscar nomination or Oscar win for his role for The Godfather. And he sent up it was a Native American actress. I have to look up this person's name. Hold on.
No, I'll do it. You
look it up.
You said Marlon Brando.
It was Marlon Brando's Godfather Oscar award. And he decided to send up another actress who is a Native American actress to accept the award for him and to talk about... who was this person?
Sasheen Littlefeather.
Littlefeather, okay. And she went up for the award and talked about how... for like the way America treated Native Americans and, you know, like the history and like the genocide and all that stuff behind that. That was like one of those big moments. But it wasn't done for the sake of like the Academy's like PR team. It was done for like just somebody standing up for themselves at the Oscars. And it got a lot of heat for that, but it didn't feel like a planned moment. Whereas today, online, a lot of people are kind of like bashing the Academy Awards or the Oscars for like forcing politics to make themselves look better.
You know, not to cut you off, I just see the CBS headline that's saying that she wasn't Native American.
Was it true? What was she?
Her family was from Mexico. But she claimed Native American.
I did not know that.
She pulled an Elizabeth Ward. But continue.
Oh, okay.
But
I did not know
but still though, but like still the meaning
behind it. Yeah. Okay. I did not know that. But the meaning behind it was spontaneous. It wasn't like a planned event or whatever it is. And it got a lot of heat for that. But today, a lot of people online are always speculating like like going into like the 21st century, the Oscars are strictly done as a PR movement, or like for the sake of like keeping people occupied and happy with movie awards and nominations.
Was it the Oscars that had Ricky Gervais like roast everyone?
Gervais.
Gervais, sorry, that roasted
That,
everyone.
I think he got a lot of heat for that because
But was it the Oscars?
I think it was the Oscars. Yeah, he was hosting the Oscars and he was just going after everybody.
was
He's
like-
one of those comedians that straight up does not give a fuck. He's like the type of guy that'll tell you like,
You're a piece of shit.
you're a piece of shit. You're gonna die one day. Your life means nothing. He's one of those types of guys.
Yeah.
So,
But I just know that like
I know he shit talked a lot of the other hosts. That
not
used
to
do
not
Oscars
to keep cutting you off.
and
Sorry.
things like that. Yeah, no. If you want to,
Yeah, but it was just like, because the Oscars to me, and this is somebody who enjoys movies, but I would say you're much more literate in the movie sphere than I am. Isn't that like culturally relevant anymore? Like I would say it is still relevant in terms of like bragging rights, but like the idea of, oh wow, like the last time I was excited about the Oscars was Leonardo DiCaprio winning. Because it was just a meme.
like winning his first
Yeah,
Oscar
and it wasn't because
in all
I
the
had-
years he's been acting.
Yeah, because it wasn't like I was vested or I'm a Leo fan or anything. It was because it was just the memes that were like, imagine an actor
That
playing
award meant
Leonardo
something. That
DiCaprio.
award meant something.
Yeah, like that award meant something.
I think a lot of people, it's something to also take in mind is that there's been 95 Oscar award ceremonies over time.
Really?
Yeah, the 95th one was last year.
Wow.
So keep in mind, this has happened 95 times in a row. And, there are dozens of movies that come out every year. A lot of them are groundbreaking. A lot of them deserve awards.
Yeah.
A lot of them have very talented people working for it. But as the years go on and the politics increases and the political correctness increases, the diversity inclusion standards change. What used to be a ceremony based strictly on what was popular, what was entertaining, what was the best dramatic performances, who was like the best at what they did based on talent, is more done based on politics. So what keeps people happy rather than appreciating someone's artistic creativity. And that's where it's coming from. And the Oscar, any award ceremony, like the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the Oscars, they're all important.
Yeah.
And people deserve these awards. If you win, first of all, it's huge bragging rights because then you get to say, I was like the best one for this year, for this category. It's extremely important. But then when you see people online like campaigning for this to win, and then the Academy is kind of peer pressured into allowing them an extra nomination or changing a whole category simply to include this
fired.
thing so they don't get hurt by it. It shows us how malleable this organization really is, and just how like, is it really? Did you win? And then a lot of people are like, did you win this award because you're actually like artistically creative and you deserve the award, or did you just kind of win because they were scared to not nominate you?
To play devil's advocate, you have a movie like Barbie, right? I know you're talking to me about it, that like Barbie is generating controversy because the movie is being nominated for an Oscar. But Barbie created a big cultural kind of like phenomena that we didn't see in movies, or that you really only see in like superhero movies. The idea of like going to go see
It's not
Barbie.
the first one to do that.
Yeah, it's not the first one to do
It
that.
just brought it back for this
Yeah.
year, especially since now like
with
everything's
COVID.
about streaming services.
Yeah.
Everything's about, nobody really goes out to theaters anymore, and everybody went out in costume.
Yeah,
for
like,
this,
it was
this, and that,
fun.
because there's like Barbie's very culturally relevant and
Yeah.
for a lot of people, a lot of young people, a lot of old people too. But
Yeah, like I dressed up to go see Oppenheimer. Like I didn't join you guys.
yeah,
for
we did the
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer thing.
But, yeah.
You couldn't stay for Barbie, but
Yeah, like I remember dressing up to go see Oppenheimer.
yeah, people were dressed up for
Yeah.
Oppenheimer too, but like that was more of like a meme phenomenon.
Yeah.
To get people back into the theaters, and it worked. And then because of this kind of phenomenon, which is not the first time, it's not the first time they've done this. People have dressed up for this stuff all the time. Like they do it for Indiana Jones, they do it for Star Wars. What's the difference? The only difference here is that it's happening during the age of streaming services. That's why it's being taken so seriously. And then now the Academy is apparently creating a new category for popular film, like not cinematic experiences, but like cinematic accomplishment. So it's like, If you're able to do something like what Barbie was capable of, you can also be nominated for that.
So that's just a guaranteed Disney Oscar every single year.
Pretty much.
Like that's literally what it is. That's just a guaranteed Disney Oscar
and
every single year.
So then it's giving more of a...
I feel like it's diminishing the Oscars, or like what it means to get an Oscar.
Yeah. Because, well, not... How do I say it? It's like, if you create a new category...
For the sole purpose of just giving someone an Oscar.
But again, like, people are also campaigning for this. It wasn't done because they think it was relevant to, like, the arts or something like that. It's done because people kept trying to push for it. And then if they don't get it, they boycott it. They boycott the Oscars or the Golden Globes. Or
so
the
when
Emmys
you say
and all this
people,
bullshit.
are you talking about like producers or like average Joe schmoes?
Average like online social media users that like love to campaign for their own things. They love to get involved.
Yeah.
That love to boycott and riot and like push for all these different things if they don't get what they want.
Yeah.
And for me, it takes... Like, first of all, the Oscars is slowly dying on its own because a lot of celebrities just aren't going anymore.
Yeah, you were telling me this before the episode.
A lot of people are not showing up to the Oscars anymore because either they're not getting nominated or it's just become kind of like a pandering thing.
I never saw an Oscars, but I just remember...
They're long... I don't stay for the entire
Yeah, my
thing.
grandma
I'll watch, like,
used
the
to
first
watch
2.5
the
hours.
Oscars because, you know, she used to, you know, be like, ooh, the Oscars. But now it's just... For her, she was just like, it's so... Yeah, it's strong, right? Yeah, now it's strong.
Shut up.
But
I'm trying to enjoy my drink.
It's... She was just saying it's gotten, like, so political. Like...
Yeah.
Where people go on for 40 minutes bashing whatever political party or like
every host has the balls to make it political. That's not why you're here.
Yeah.
Don't throw your shit into the conversation.
Like it's more crazy if people are like, oh, thank you very much. I thank my family, thank my producers, thank the cast, and thank my fans, and then get off. Like that is crazy.
Everyone tries to play hero or advocate. And they try to like put their politics into it. That's not why we're here. I want to be entertained and I want to see the best of the best get their recognition and then you leave. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want to... First of all, I'm going into like a...
Go into it.
People do not watch movies or TV shows to get bothered by politics or the real world.
Yeah.
They use entertainment. Entertainment's used
as
to escape the real world. So I can be entertained. So I don't have to think about all the bad and crazy shit that goes on a daily basis. And instead, I'm being dragged back into it by force by something that I either don't understand or don't care to understand for you, for somebody else. Like, that is not the place to do it.
Yeah.
You're taking advantage of your spotlight to bring politics into something where it's not necessary. Nobody's there for that.
Do you know who Sean Penn is? Well, you know who Sean Penn is.
Yeah, I know Sean Penn.
I remember last Oscars, he like I remember reading a headline or something along this line, like if they didn't give Zelensky, not to make this about Ukraine, but just like, you know, just piggyback or like, you know, if they didn't give Zelensky like his 20 or like 5 minutes to make a speech about, you know, Russia and all of that, then he was going to burn his Oscar or melt it or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's a whole, like I understand, you know, you're passionate about this issue, but it's like you said, you know, people, the world is kind of fucked right now, and people just want to watch a movie, just relax and not have to worry about the world for 2 hours. Like, you know,
that's the whole purpose of it.
And in a way, I think it's kind of like, these are people who, maybe this is just me being now just like a sore loser, but it's like, they're multimillionaires. Like, your life, physically speaking, is not hard. Like, you memorize lines on a paper. Yes, you know, it takes talent, it takes work, but all these actors can stop working tomorrow and live their life in luxury.
Yeah.
We can't. And we want entertainment, like you said, as an escapism from our everyday lives. Mm-hmm. And you can't just give people that. Like,
yeah, you can't give us our 2 hours to just decompress
from
our lives.
Yeah.
because you want to play the advocate and help everybody.
Like, remember the world when we went into lockdown and Sam Smith posted a picture of himself crying in his mansion because he's like, my life is so hard? People were like, fuck you. People were like, fuck you.
Because celebrities are not like normal people. They're not...
Except Keanu Reeves.
Except Keanu Reeves. He knows how to be a normal person. However, the average celebrity is not a normal person. When you have your multimillionaires, everyone knows who you are. You can get into any place that you want. You can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Under the law, obviously. Mm-hmm. You're not one of us. Stop acting like you're one of us. So, anytime I kind of see like a celebrity start trying to play advocate, it's like, you could have done this at any point. Why are you doing it now?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it at the worst location possible?
Like...
First of all, you're also taking the spotlight away from the event for the people who deserve that award.
Like, the people who worked on the sets, your
the people
family,
who spent 6 months to a year making a 2-hour, 3-hour movie or a TV show for everyone else's entertainment now has to be put to the side so that we can talk about your bullshit politics for 15, 20 minutes at a time.
It's very narcissism. It's just screaming narcissism.
Yeah, it's very much like, look at me, I know better than you. And it's like, no, this is not the place for that. You can do this anytime. Don't do this here. The focus should be on the talent, should be on the people who win the awards. It should be just celebrating the best of the best. And that's not what's happening.
Hot take. Do you think Will Smith's slap made the Oscars, like, in the news cycle again? Like, in the sense, like...
It kind of did and it kind of didn't.
All right, explain.
Because
or your reasoning.
It kind of did because it brought back that kind of entertainment factor for a split second. Because a lot of people thought that slap was staged.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was staged.
A lot of people thought that it was. However, and then obviously, like, everybody else was coming out. Like, nobody was like, no, this was not planned.
And then he was banned from the Oscars.
He got banned for the Oscars for 10 years from the Academy for slapping Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, that's definitely a power trip move. They'll ban him for like 2, 3, maybe 4 years, and then they'll bring him back. Let it die out, bring him back. That's how it usually works. Yeah. However, giving him the 10-year ban is crazy. And then also, there are a lot more Hollywood figures out there that deserve to be banned other than him.
Like who? Like for what?
Like Oscar winners, like Harvey Weinstein.
Oh,
all the shit that he did, and
he's not banned.
Well, first of all, he's in jail, so he can't go there.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, like...
But like, he still has all his Oscars.
They didn't revoke his Oscars?
He hasn't... No, I don't think they did. At least I don't... Actually, can you look that up?
Yeah, I got you right now.
I don't think that he did, but there's a lot of people out there who did way worse than he did, and the Oscars said... The Academy said nothing. They didn't revoke anything. They didn't ban them. They just, like... They're just not in the spotlight anymore because socially, they're, like, completely outsiders. They're not allowed to be reinstated. But... That's just kind of crazy.
The Academy condemned Weinstein, calling his actions repugnant, abhorrent, and antithetical to the high standards of the Academy and the creative community it represents. He still has his Oscars, which he received for producing Best Picture winners.
See what I'm talking about? There are people that did way worse, and yeah, they're not there anymore for obvious reasons, but the Academy did not directly like remove them or take their Oscars away or do anything else like that because for whatever reason.
When we say the Academy, who is the Academy? Like, are these like directors, producers? Are these like Hollywood execs?
Honestly, let's Google that. I'm going to Google that real quick.
Wait, are they like actors?
They're a mix of people. Let me look them up actually. I'm Googling the information right now.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Harvey Weinstein still has all of his... You know, I kind of also want to Google problematic people at the Oscars. Wait, problematic...
There's 18 branches of the Academy for the crafts ranging from actors to writers and members at large category for individuals who work in motion pictures as a representative.
Oh, wow.
There's an Academy board... That's a lot of vice presidents. How many vice presidents do you need?
Wait. You want to see who still has... I'm sorry, I'm making faces. You want to see who still has their Oscars?
Who?
So, okay, Mel Gibson still has his Oscars from his controversial statements on anti-Semitism.
Yeah, like the Jewish
And
rants and stuff. Yeah.
what they believe is a controversial film, The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
Kevin Spacey still has his Oscars. Then you have Woody Allen still has his Oscars. A guy named Dustin Hoffman.
He's an actor.
Yeah. I don't know why
He's been Me Too'd several times.
So. Roman Polanski. Wait,
he had a relationship with a minor and then left America to live in Europe to avoid jail time. He made some of the best and one of the like best horror movies. He made Rosemary's Baby.
I'm
Remember
uncultured.
that movie?
I'm uncultured.
It's the wife that gets brought into a family, but they're actually devil worshippers, and she's carrying the baby, like the spawn of Satan, the Antichrist. But at the time, that movie was like one of the best horror movies of that decade.
Wow. That is insane. Harvey Weinstein, yeah, of course. And that was it. Roman Polanski. That is so freaking crazy, that man.
Yeah.
And so does the Academy not revoke Oscars?
You can. I think they can. They just didn't. But then they give Will Smith a 10... He won an Oscar that night, by the way.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then he starts crying like, I won.
He won an Oscar that night, but he also got banned for a decade from the Oscars.
Yeah,
because he did it at the
trip.
Oscars. That's why they're power tripping right now, trying to like keep control of it, but also made you look worse.
Yeah, that was kind of like... I feel like a 1 year, maybe a 2 year ban, like, okay.
Yeah. And Chris Rock was nice enough about it not to press charges.
But what is he gonna press charges on? Like,
but then he had like one of the best comedy specials after that because all of it was just about the slap.
What's crazy is just like, I know we dedicated an episode to this, but it's just like how that whole thing, entanglement, no pun intended, where it's just like Chris Rock is just like, this man, I feel sad for him. His wife cheated on him with her son's best friend. And so, where do you see the Oscars going forward? Like, do you see the Oscars just becoming more and more political, narcissistic, like kind of just like an industry-wide jerk-off? Or do you see it kind of like at some point somebody's like, look, we got to bring it back to, you know, the film industry, like make it about film?
It'll go back to the way it used to be when they kind of hit that wall in a way. Because a lot of people are leaving. A lot of people don't show up to the Oscars anymore.
Really?
A lot of people, there used to be like packed crowds all the time. Sometimes like a lot of A-listers don't show up. A lot of people boycott it.
That famous photo with like Bradley Cooper and like Ellen DeGeneres. Remember like the selfie that broke the internet? That was taken at the Oscars, right?
I think so.
Where like everybody got in.
One of those ceremonies, yeah. I think one of the main thing is the politics. That's what fucks it up a lot of the time.
They should have Joe Rogan host the Oscars.
Just talk about MMA midway through a speech or some shit.
Do you think he would?
He would.
If he was given it, do you think they would?
He'll try telling a joke every once in a while.
I wonder what makes
like
the host the host of the Oscars.
They always kind of just rely on a talk show host to come in and fill in. Like Jimmy Kimmel's done it God knows how many times.
Really?
Yeah. Like, what's his name?
They should have Conan do it.
I think he has.
Really?
He probably has.
Oh.
What's his name? He's on the Late Late Show.
Oh, James Corden.
James Corden, yeah, he's done it. I think he's done it a couple times.
I feel like probably after the Ricky Gervais. Sorry,
I don't think
they're not going to do another comedian.
They're not going to bring him back. Yeah.
Wow.
But so for this conversation, obviously, while we were thinking about what to talk for tonight, because the Golden Globes came out a little while ago, and they made history with a couple of highlights. I think I'm trying to pull them up now that were very interesting. I think Stephen, like one of the biggest ones was like Stephen Ewan and Ali Wong were the first
Asian.
They were the first actors of Asian descent to win a Golden Globe award.
That was so crazy because, well, first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, Golden Globes are only movies, right?
I think movies and TV shows.
I'm so surprised Steven
There's
Yeun didn't win from The Walking Dead. Like, I'm just still very surprised about that.
I think he was just like
or at least a nomination. He probably had to be at least nominated.
He probably was, but they're saying that because they have a show together called Beef.
I seen that on, like, I haven't seen it, but it's on Netflix.
I think it's on Netflix. Yeah, that got them the nomination and the not the Oscar win.
Yeah,
the Golden Globes win. Sorry. That was one big thing for them. Christopher Nolan won his first Golden Globe for Best Director.
Hasn't won a Golden Globe?
That's his first one, and it was for Oppenheimer.
That's crazy.
And he paid tribute to Heath Ledger during his speech.
Really?
Because when he did The Dark Knight, he went up there to go accept his award posthumously.
I wonder why.
Because Heath Ledger died before.
Heath Ledger. I thought you meant like Heath Ledger went up for Christopher Nolan.
No. Because he died before that Oscar ceremony. So Nolan was the one that went up to go accept it for him and took it with him. Yeah. One of these is like really stupid. They had like a whole like scene where Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet were like making out on camera the whole time.
No way.
Yeah, and it was like,
what?
That's not a highlight. It's on the list, but it's not a highlight.
That's so like not classy.
Like a lot of like Taylor Swift and Selena Gomez were there.
I saw a photo. Somebody made a joke about Taylor Swift, and the camera went to her, and she was just so deadpan. It was just like, you know.
They had the cast of Suits.
That I saw that too.
Together to present for Succession, which was interesting. Kieran Culkin won a Golden Globe for the first time after 20 years.
Really?
Because let's see. He said that in his speech, I was nominated for a Golden Globe 20 years ago, and when that moment passed, I sort of remember thinking I'm never going to be back in this room again. And then he won for because he's on the show Succession.
Yeah.
Lily Gladstone took the stage to accept the award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture for Killers of the Flower Moon.
I heard that made because she was the first Indigenous woman.
First Indigenous woman to win a Golden Globe Award, and she began by speaking in the Blackfeet language and Algonquian language spoken by the Blackfoot or Neet Sitapi people.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a bunch of highlights for this one, which was very interesting. You know, that's why I wanted to talk about like the Oscars and the Golden Globes and the Emmys and things like that.
What do you think about? I know there's a lot of controversy that I remember former Governor Cuomo got an Emmy for his COVID-19. You don't remember that?
I don't remember this. Wait.
Oh, he got an Emmy for his. Remember, like we were in New York, so remember like when COVID and he had these like daily briefings. Mm-hmm. He got an Emmy for that. And people,
why?
Exactly. That's what everybody was saying. Why? People are like, he got.
See, this is where the bullshit comes in. Is that you're throwing the politics into it.
And people were like, you gave him an Emmy for doing his job.
This is what I'm talking about.
But
this is exactly what I'm talking about.
And
this
Family Guy never got an Emmy. I know that became a joke at some point.
Wait, what happened?
Family Guy never got an Emmy. And
they've been joking about that for years.
But people, but it's just been a joke. But they have never gotten an Emmy, though. I don't think so.
Well, they also make fun of the Oscars all the time. So that's probably like...
You don't think the Academy likes being made fun of?
No, not at all. I don't think they... At least I hope they don't behave like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
So if you were invited to the Oscars...
Would I go?
Would you go?
Yeah, 100%.
Apparently you're not allowed to bring in alcohol. I remember there's a funny skit of some like a reporter that sneaks in tequila, like it's in a microphone, and he's like, "Here you go," and they're like, "Ooh," and they just, like, you know.
No, they probably have like a bar there. They want you to pay for the services.
It's like dry. I saw this YouTube video of this famous chef Wolfgang
Puck.
Yeah, that he like did the Oscars after party, and he was like, "It is on because these people, they can't have alcohol and they can't have food, and it's a 4-hour event, so they're starving." And so like it's a whole night of just like food because they gotta like feed 300 people who haven't eaten in 4 hours. So it's just like he goes, it's kind of overwhelming.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing I wanted to bring up about like these ceremonies and things like that real quick. We are getting a little long, so I'm going to make this segment short. Mm-hmm. I was watching, so Have you know the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
And do you know the show's co-creator? Not co-creator, the show's creator, Rob McElhenney, who also plays Rob, the character on the show.
I didn't watch the show, so I don't know who he is, but I know like Always Sunny has like a cult following.
He's been in like the spotlight because he bought the soccer team with Ryan Reynolds, the Wrexham soccer team. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He was in the spotlight for that for a little bit. They have, obviously, everyone has a podcast, right?
Yes.
So there's the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast. It's called the It's Always Sunny podcast. I listened to it a little bit because I was a fan of the show for a while. And the show is basically, the whole podcast is basically just going over like episodes of the show, behind the scenes details you didn't know about. Bringing on like guest actors from the couple episodes to talk about their experiences, all that shit.
It's kind of just like, going down memory lane.
And then on one episode, I remembered, and I looked it up before we started this. The episode, I think it was episode 49, The Sweet Cream of Justice. Because each episode is based on like whichever episode of the show they're talking about, right? On that episode, they were talking about like all these award ceremonies, like the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and everything like that. And he brought up how the creation of these award ceremonies were created on purpose. They were done by studio heads for a specific reason. Because back in the day when, like early on in Hollywood, and like anyone who studies film or cinema studies would know about this, studios had complete control over everything. Yeah,
you wrote a contract with a studio. Like you
would
didn't
write
have
a 7-year contract.
Yeah.
And you had to do anything that studio told you to do. So if you were doing a photo shoot that day, you're doing a photo shoot that day. If you were doing this movie,
the studio's bitch.
You were their bitch for like 7 years. You had no choice. You had to do what you had to do. And in that time frame, a lot of artists started rebelling against studio heads because like there's always been a dichotomy between art and business.
Of course, you've spoken about this.
When it comes to Hollywood, it's like, is it more art? Do we want to do this because we love the art and the meaning behind it?
Yeah.
And then people just do it because of money.
I remember you were talking about that when you were driving up, when we were going to Albany to see Mike. You were like explaining to me how there's always that like, you got to have art, but you also got to make money.
There's a balance between the arts and the business side of things. And if it goes off in one direction, it either doesn't make enough money or it doesn't get enough critical acclaim to be worth seeing. You know, there's got to be a proper balance between the two of it. In that discussion, what they were talking about was that the studio heads got together because people were rebelling, like, this is bullshit. We're actors, we're artists, we want our stuff to be represented properly. And what studio heads were doing was that they decided to get the heat off their backs. They developed these award ceremonies. Now, how much of this is true? I don't remember how much of it is actually true. This is just from what I saw.
Trust me vibes.
On the It's Always Sunny podcast. And it was just interesting to think about how, because McElhenney was talking about how the studio heads got together and formed like the Oscars and all these award ceremonies to get artists off their backs, so that instead of them rebelling against them and trying to get that power struggle, they'll be more focused competing against each other for the award nominations and the Academy Awards themselves, so that they can get their own bragging rights and be the best of the best. So if there's competition between the artists, there's no competition for the studio heads to have to deal with. No rebellion for the studio heads to have to deal with. Now, how much of this is true, I don't know. I haven't been on that episode in a while. But it was just an interesting thing that I remembered trying to, because we were thinking of like what to talk about for this episode. What's
interesting is there a correlation between Oscars winning and the amount of money an actor or an actress makes? Because I know, isn't The Rock the highest paid actor?
He's the highest paid actor right now.
But he doesn't have an Oscar though, right?
He doesn't have an Oscar, but getting an Oscar is not only bragging rights, but it also establishes yourself as one of the best of the best,
like an artiste.
But then, like, the way you get more money is that you have that like social power, like, because you have like a fan base, you have a following, you have
I have an Oscar,
I have an Oscar, you have clout, and you have the ability to negotiate for more than what you used to have. So it'd be like, imagine like someone, let's say, take any celebrity when they first start off their career, right? When they're just starting, they're getting paid in nothing because they have nothing to offer yet. They have no following. There's no like idea that these people are going to be like, oh, I can have them on the show. We'll make a lot of money off of them because they have a huge fan base that'll definitely follow them. In the beginning, they have nothing. Then later on, when you become ultra famous, you can negotiate anything you want because the studios know that I can work with this person and they will make us a shit ton of money no matter how good or how bad it is. So they can negotiate whatever they want. And getting an Oscar just kind of elevates your position to where you can negotiate for higher salary or higher royalty fees or additional things on set, like better treatment and things like that. It comes, that's more like a perk.
I feel like an Oscar also kind of brings like, that separates the wheat from the chaff. You know, where like, for example, The Rock, yeah, he makes more money, but The Rock, nobody really considers him a serious actor in the sense of like
he's not like a Brando.
Like you can never see him in like a movie like Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Like he's
not a Marlon
family
Brando.
friendly.
He's not a Daniel Day-Lewis. He's not a DiCaprio.
Yeah.
He's not a De Niro. He's like
he's family friendly. Action.
He's
movie.
his own thing.
Yeah, and he's perfectly
but then, like
fine
getting an Oscar for whatever it is establishes yourself as one of the best of the best. So you earn that respect. But it's very difficult to earn that respect. It takes years of experience, a lot of talent, and a lot of creativity.
And if you think, like, for example, if that award was created of, like, most culturally relevant, and let's say, like, The Rock was to win that award, do you think that's kind of just, like, cheating? Or, like, it diminishes
But there's so many different ways. It's not very specific. Because anybody can really create that kind of popular or culturally relevant event. Like, Marvel makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
And all their movies have been shit lately. Sorry.
And they call it a popular film award category. Like, they could win the Oscar every single year.
Yeah, that's why I said that's a guaranteed Disney award. Oscar.
So it's like, how is this category? It depends on how they're going to hold up this category. And if it ends up the way that we think it is, it's just going to get more criticism.
Yeah. So,
like, I would think that the Oscars is to celebrate the most creative and the most talented people. But if it keeps going down the politics route and it keep giving in to, especially people on social media,
into like popular demand.
If you keep giving into popular demand, if you keep giving into the mob rule, like where if everyone's gonna force you to do it, you're gonna do it. Then what's the point?
Yeah, just have the poll on Twitter.
There's always gonna be that. There's always gonna be that sense of like, did you really earn this or did you play something? Like, nobody trusts it anymore.
Yeah,
everybody thinks there's like an agenda behind it, and sometimes there is, but we're only gonna know that if it, there's no way to really prove that unless somebody says it.
What day is the Oscars on? Is it on a weekend?
I don't think so.
We should get drunk and watch the Oscars.
We'll do a watch party for the Oscars.
We should do a watch party for the Oscars.
I'll type in, when is the Oscars for 2024?
Should we do a watch party Oscars episode?
Hold on, I'm typing it on my phone. Hold on. It's March 10th of 2024 at 7 p.m.
All right, let me see what March 10th
I'm going to check the calendar right now. Hold on.
In exactly 8 weeks. Or 12 weeks, I should rather say.
It's on a Sunday.
Oh, that's amazing. We should do a watch party.
Remember, that's a 5-hour watch party.
God damn.
That would be, you know what? Let's do that. We'll do it at my house.
Okay, we'll get Mike. We'll get
everybody.
We'll get everybody and do like
I'll be taking notes.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
And it starts at 7, so that means
7 p.m.
Oh my god,
it'll finish
over
around
at like
midnight.
1.
Yeah.
God damn. And then I gotta go to work in the morning and be like, what did you do, the Oscars? But man.
All right. And with that,
can I make one quick announcement?
Yes.
If you are in the great state of Iowa, do your civic duty and participate in your caucus. That's all.
You want to end it with a political...
No, just if you're a citizen of this country, go vote /caucus. Go do your civic duty. That's it. And
get your I voted sticker or bumper sticker and get it on your car.
Yes, sir.
And the pen. They give you a free pen.
I don't know about the pen. I just know it's sticker. In other countries...
I know they give you a free pen where I vote.
In the UK, they give you a button. I would rather a button.
No, we get buttons, don't we?
No, we only get stickers because we're cheap. We should get a button.
Yeah, that's true. And with that, I am going to call it for this episode. We're running a little bit long here, so I'm going to call it. Thank Thank you guys so much for listening.
The shot's for you guys.
Yeah, again, thank you guys so much for listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, and all of our social media pages for upcoming content. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Au revoir.